What does every homeowner, driver, and just anybody need? Is it money? Nope. Stability? Nah. A happy, genuine, loving relationship with friends and family that genuinely care about you and your interests?
Would be nice.
No. It's tools. A flat tire, 17mm socket and a jack. Done. Loose door hinge, Phillips driver and a combination drill. Done. Bank account. Still don't have the tools for that. We all need tools and we all need somewhere to put them. So behind me, I have some lovely reclaimed oak, and we are going to be making a lovely new toolbox. Mate, you've got a toolbox. Will you shut the up? Yes, that's right. I already have a toolbox and I have a shed fully equipped with tools. But I have an important announcement to make. I am making a second channel. Yes, I have managed to waste £500 on the cheapest car I could possibly find out there. It is a E46 BMW 320i M Sport, and it is very, very, very broken. So I'm making a second channel, and we're going to be doing up this car and possibly more cars in the future, depending on how well the channel goes. So if you're interested in seeing me fixing up a car, or you just want to watch an idiot work, I've got to put the nut on again. Then go down in the description, click the link, go subscribe to the channel, put on your push notifications, so when I release my first video, you're going to be the first one to see it. So yeah, we're going to stop talking about all that now. We're going to get onto this channel, building this toolbox. So let's hop straight into the build. Right, here's all the reclaimed oak and the stock we're going to be using. I want this toolbox to last for generations to come. I want it to look really nice, which is why I'm making it out of nice solid oak. So let's stop talking about what we're going to do. Let's actually start doing some woodworking, guys. So let's get into it. So the first job and things we need to do is cut everything up to size so we can roughly get what we need. Now, I am a bit of an idiot, so I did everything in pieces. Instead of having a drawing and a cut list of what to do so I can more easily make the box, I decided just to make one panel at a time and use the measurements off that panel to make the next one to make sure everything lines up and fits up well. I also didn't spend a bunch of time using dovetails and fancy joints to put it together, even though I was originally intending to, but I'm basically on a time crunch with this because I've got a lot of things to do and I really want to get this beamer that I've bought up and running as quickly as possible, so I need to start working it as quickly as possible. So I figured I would just chuck this together the simplest way I know how. It's going to look really nice because it's all oak and stuff anyway. So, yeah. But one thing I want to say is I was an idiot. I made this way too heavy. So even the box without any tools in is very, very heavy. And you can see how thick this oak is. It doesn't need to be that thick. It could have been a lot thinner and it would have, been a lot better and more practical. But big, heavy, sturdy toolbox. I'll probably be able to use it as a workbench while I'm working on my car. But yeah, that's what we're all doing now. We're just getting everything cut up and ready. So when we come to glue everything up, it's all in nice little panels. And then from there, we can move forward and start putting it all together. And if you're wondering where I got all this oak from, I do have a video on my channel showing you how you can get free oak through Marketplace and everything like that. I won't go into detail into it right now, but I'll throw a link in the top corner if you wanted to go look at that video and find out how you can get some nice hardwoods in your area free of charge or just very cheap. But all of this is from old furniture, which is why you can see it looks a bit stained and it's, like a darker patina on it. And while that looks nice and everything, it does make it hard to sort of match the grain and everything because you are taking the top layer of everything off, so it'll go back to its original color or what it was. So you'll see later on in the video how I made a little mistake with the color matching and stuff. But overall, I think the box still looks very nice anyway. And also, while working with reclaimed wood, there is a lot of hurdles to jump over. See, when you get normal stock, when you buy it from the shop, it's all nice, square, plain. It's it's all ready to go. You don't have to cut any awkward bits out or do any awkward things. But because this has already been crafted into something, not only do you have to spend time stripping it all down and getting all the nails and stuff out of it and filling all the holes that they leave, but you don't have as thick a stock to work with. And as you can see here, the only thing I had was a load of boards and nothing big enough to make the back plate. So I ended up cutting all those boards up into strips and gluing them up into one big panel. This panel is too big to run through my surface planer, so I ran each strip through the surface planer and used a hammer to tap it down as level as possible. And I ended up going back around with the sander and cleaning it all up anyway. And I also ran out of clamps here, so I just had to whack the big boy clamps out and clamp it all up in one piece. And you'll see I accidentally tightened it a little bit too much. It is so frustrating when this happens, guys. I mean, it's no big deal. You put it back in the clamps, you nip it back up and put some fresh glue on there, but it's one of those dumb things that can be avoided. Usually, if you're doing a big glue up like this, we got multiple planks, you want to alternate the clamps so it's pushing on both directions. And realistically, you shouldn't be tightening it up that much anyway, but because of how many slots there are to glue up, I wanted a decent amount of pressure on there to make sure it transfers through the whole lot, since I've found when you're doing big glue ups like that, the outer edges seem to clamp first before the middle, so you have to use a bit more force to make sure it's evenly clamped the whole way through. But alternate your clamps, don't use too much pressure and you won't have that issue. I would just run out of clamps and wanted to get it all done in one big foul sweep, and that's why it all popped out like that. But anyway, we're shaping all these down to their final sizes now. I did leave the back plate a little bit large because I wanted to come back with a flush trim bit to make sure it was absolutely fitted up perfect, instead of trying to, home it into square and getting it all right, because when I'm using bigger stuff like this, my tools aren't that accurate. When I'm working with smaller stuff, it's quite easy to get things nice and straight and accurate, but there is a little bit of slop in my table saw. So when I'm countering the fact that things are overhanging and other things in my small workshop banging off the edges of it and stuff, I do like to leave a little fat on the ends so I can come and trim it off at the end. But yeah. Also, I could do with some dust collection. You can see how quickly my shed gets dusty, and I can't imagine that's any good for my tools either for precision stuff, because things can get clogged up. But that little rotary sander, it makes short work of any sort of sanding, so that's why I like to use it despite the mess it makes. And here on the sides, I wanted to do this instead of doing like dovetail or box joints. I was originally going to do dovetails or box joints just because it looks nicer, but because I want to be able to sit on this toolbox as I'm working, I kind of wanted something to go straight down onto the ground, if that makes sense without drawing it. As you can see here, like all the weight would just be pushing on that, and I won't have to rely on glue joints to back the force up, even though like I could put a lot of force on this toolbox with a dovetail joint and it still wouldn't break because of the thickness of the wood. But it's nice to have that extra bit of security. And to be honest, I wanted to put some plugs in as well, because I quite like the look of end grain, so I can get a bit of end grain on the top, as you can see, and also I can get those plugs, trim them flat, and it'll look nice like that. But I will admit, I did forget to record putting the plugs in. But it's simple. You can use plug cutters. I ended up just making one big dowel on the lathe and tapping it in and cutting it flush with that. I find it easier to do it that way, just because I can make the perfect size plug to make sure I don't have no gaps or anything like that. So yeah. And also, despite me not using any squares and stuff like this while gluing it all up and screwing it together, it came out absolutely perfectly square, which usually isn't the case for me. Usually I have to put it together, see how it fits, go back to the table saw, make sure I get a perfect 90-degree cut, come back, clamp it all up, maybe have to persuade it in a few ways using, clamps pressed on each corner to get it square. But this just came out perfectly square first time. So I thought, hey, that's brilliant. That never usually happens for me. But yeah. We're putting the back on now. You can see what I mean by the overhang, and I'm just using nails to attach it. The back isn't really going to be that structural. It's just going to stop things from folding over. So I thought I'll just put some nails around it, and then I can come back and sink all the heads in at the end and fill it with some wood glue and sawdust, and it should look nice and it should look seamless. It did end up coming out looking alright, but no, you could still see the where the nail heads were. It was a little bit darker, And I don't know if it's because, as you can see, each bit of wood is a slightly different colour, and I'm using sawdust from all of those woods, whether that was the reason it all came out darker or if it was the glue I was using. But yeah, if you guys know any glue options to where it's absolutely clear, because the majority of the time when I buy a clear drying glue for doing these like little patches and filling with sawdust and stuff like that, it never seems to come out clear. It never seems to represent the wood. It always seems to come out darker. So if you guys know any good options for clear drying glue out there, let me know, or put an Amazon link in the comments below so I can get myself some of it, because that's one of the things I struggle with at the minute. And I wanted to make some low profile sort of battens going across to rest my bit of plywood on. I am using a quite chunky bit of plywood to rest it all on. I forgot to show myself putting it in, but you can see it in there at the minute. I just wanted a little lip for it to sit on, because I am going to be putting some quite heavy tools on there, and I didn't want to rely just on glue and nails to hold it in. I wanted something for it to actually sit on, and it came out a lot stronger than needs be, and I was going to do more reinforcing, but it just didn't need it. We're cutting out the lid now, and I always use this method to cut the lid off instead of making the lid separate, because it always comes out perfect and seamless, and the grain always matches, and it's miles better way of making a box lid. I was completely blind to this method ages ago when I was making little boxes and stuff in my shed, and ever since I found out and watched a few people making jewelry boxes, I've never looked back since. So cut your lids off like that, it works. And by the way, if you see this brand of drawer runners on Amazon saying soft close, do not buy it. They are not soft close whatsoever. They have a little rubber bit on the end of them so it doesn't slam, and that's what their soft close is. Soft close to me is when you push it in and it automatically pulls itself back slowly. This doesn't do that. There's just a little rubber grommet at the end of it, so when you push it, it doesn't slam. So that was annoying, but I wanted to get this toolbox done, and couldn't be bothered sending these back to Amazon, so I just used these drawer runners anyway. And I tried to be fancy, putting a double-sided tape on so I didn't have to worry about it falling off like you can see in the video here, and I could just stick it on. But glue wasn't strong enough, so I just went back to my normal method of using gravity and squares and blocks to space these all apart, and that ended up working, so all good in the end. But I should have used a smaller drill attachment here, because it was quite tight in there trying to use that long Phillips to put all these screws in. But managed to get it all done in the end, and all the drawers came out perfectly fine. So yeah, a bit annoyed that these aren't actually soft close, because I really wanted it to have that, luxury feel. But to be honest, maybe soft close wouldn't have been a good option anyway. When trying to work on a car and you want to get to your tools quickly, maybe the soft close would be a bit of a hindrance. So I don't know. They're not soft close, and I'm not too bothered about it at the minute. But yeah, now we're going to be moving on to making the actual drawers. And again, I was going to do fancy dovetails and everything like this, but I really wanted to get this done quickly. So I just ran through all my scrap oak, cut up a bunch of planks. Yeah, I cut up a bunch of planks and made a little rebate in them so I could set in a bit of plywood to make all the boxes. And it worked great for me, but if you're wanting to make a toolbox, maybe spend the extra time to do these fancy little joints and do a better job of it. I at this point really just wanted to get it done, and this is, like I said in the beginning, this is something I want to pass down through my family. When I eventually have a child, I want to give them this toolbox, and hopefully when they have a child, they can give their kids this toolbox, and it can stay in the family for a long time. So part of me is a bit annoyed at myself that I didn't spend the extra time to do the fancy box joints or dovetails to make it look really nice, but these are the drawers, and I can always come back and make new drawers for them. But I thought in the moment, right, I just want to get this box done so I can start work on the car. And on the subject of the car, I just want to quickly put a little disclaimer out there that if you don't have the money to buy a project car, don't buy a project car. In the beginning, you saw about my overdraft and stuff. Yeah, I am struggling financially at the minute, so you'd think the last thing I should be doing is buying a project car. But this is my reasoning, just so you don't think I'm wasting my money and stuff. The car I currently have, I really don't like. You've heard me talk about it on the channel before, with it constantly breaking. The actual car itself, Good car, reliable, gets the job done. I've never been stranded by the side of the road with the car. But things constantly keep going on it, like ball joints, suspension, all sorts of just stuff. It's a high mileage car. It's a good car, but I'm spending a lot more time under it than needs be. And I am also, I'm a young lad. I'm looking for something a little bit more sporty with a little bit more power in it. So my reasoning for buying this car is I thought, right, I'm quite mechanically inclined. I can do a lot with my hands and I'm pretty good at fixing things. Why don't I scour the web, look for a really, really cheap broken car that needs a lot of work doing to it, do the work myself, save a bunch of money through it, then I can sell my car, get a couple of grand for it, and pay some of my debts off, and also have an upgraded car for myself on the cheap. So that's the reason why I've gone ahead and do it, because to me, financially, in the long run, it's going to do more better than it is bad, if that makes sense to you guys. Because, 500 quid now, in a couple of months' time when the car's up and running and I'm driving it and I sell the other car, I'll be up a couple of grand. And then hopefully, with that couple of grand, I can take another 500 quid, buy an even better broken car, do that work, sell the car that I've fixed for a couple of grand, and so on and so forth. So I can make money in the process of going through nicer cars, and also it gives me a chance to make a new hobby, show this on YouTube, get some viewers out there, maybe inspire some of you guys to work on your own cars, because everyone seems to be afraid to work on their own car, especially with things like an oil change. Now, I was like this in the beginning too. The idea of touching the car and thinking, if I do something wrong, this is my life and other people's life at risk if I crash on the road because of a fix that I've done. But when you strip it down to its bare thing, it's just nuts and bolts. It's really not too hard to do, and it's really hard to mess it up to the point where it's dangerous. And we have things like MOTs and stuff to stop us from driving dangerous vehicles on the road. So I never started fixing cars and learning about cars because I wanted to, because I was terrified in the beginning. It started off because I needed a service and an oil change, and I just didn't have the money, and I couldn't go and spend £160 on paying someone to go do an oil change for me. So I looked at it myself and thought, is this something I could possibly do myself? I looked at how much everything would cost, £10 for an oil filter, £10 for an air filter, 40 quid on a jug of oil. And I was like, it's really not that expensive. Okay, well, how do I go about doing an oil change? Okay, I need to jack the car up, take the oil plug out, drain it, change the oil filter. And it just really wasn't that hard. And as soon as I did it, it gave me the confidence. And I was like, damn, I've just saved myself about £100 here doing this. And then every time I did an MOT and something came up, or I heard a noise or a knocking, instead of going somewhere to get it fixed, I just had a look at fixing it myself. Like when my suspension strut went on my car and it was making a really loud, knocking, horrible noise, it was going to cost me, I think it was like £300 to go take it to the mechanic for him to fix. But I looked on eBay, I found a second-hand strut from a breaker's yard, picked that up for £23 and spent an afternoon repairing it myself. I saved myself like 280 odd pounds there. So I always stress this to my friends, and I always stress it to anyone else. Cars seem intimidating, but just go ahead and do it. If you've ever built a Mikado set, or you've ever made anything in a workshop, you can fix your own car. So, yeah. Maybe this channel that I'm making will help inspire other people to start doing work on their own cars. I'm not trying to chase mechanics out of their business and stuff like that. We're always going to need a mechanic with the knowledge and stuff, because I've had it in the past where there's been a knocking in my car and I've tried chasing the issue for ages. I've wheeled it into a garage just to be like, I have no idea what's going on, just fix it. And they've managed to just click their fingers and just say, hey, this is the issue. And we need those people with that knowledge. But I don't know, I'm rambling on a bit now. I'm really excited to do this new channel. I'm really excited to get a new car behind me and get working on it. So hopefully I can share that experience with you guys, and I hope you like it too. But yeah, this is what this toolbox is going to be made for, because every time I go to work on my car with the little box I have all my sockets and stuff in now, it's so hard trying to find a tool. I'll spend half an hour trying to find a socket rather than fixing the car. So I wanted to make a nice big toolbox where I know where everything is, so I can get things at an easy grab, so I don't have to struggle trying to find tools and everything, so I can get the repair done on the car a lot quicker. And also it's a nice transition to open up about this new channel and hopefully send a couple of you guys over there to share the experience. But anyway, this box is becoming closer and closer to being finished. We're going to put some oil on it, and you can see here, as I was talking about in the beginning, about the mistake I made with the colour matching, and it's hard to tell when everything is covered in a stain and a varnish in the beginning when working with reclaimed oak, all from different tables and different things. They're all are different colours. You can see the sides, the top, the bottom, and the back match, but the drawer fronts, they're a slightly lighter colour because they came from a different table or chest of drawers or wherever I got that wood from. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I can always come back and I can always replace these drawers with a similar looking wood. A lot of people have pointed out to me that they do like the colour change. It makes the drawers pop out a bit more. But personally, I wanted it to all be one colour. So I was a little bit disappointed with that. Still think the box looks really nice. I'm happy with the decision of keeping the box, not the boxes, the drawer front sticking out rather than being flush. I think it looks nicer. But yeah, a little bit disappointed with the colour matching. And also, if you want to save yourself on buying some tool foam, get some of these kneeling pads made out of the exact same stuff. It's just as easy as set your tools in. I'll show you in a minute just like how it looks once I've put all the tools in. I'm a little bit bad at cutting out the foam. I was going to melt it all in, but I wasn't allowed to put my tools in the oven apparently. So I had to cut it all out with a Stanley blade. So it looks a little bit rough, but I got all the tools in there. They've all got their own home. They're all safe and sound. And I'm really happy with how the box came out, to be honest. I know I've had a little bitch about it, but I think it looks really nice. So that's it for this build, guys. But if you want to go ahead and watch me rebuild this E46 back into a working car, you can head over to my new channel, Barovia Made Motors. The link's down in the description below. The first fix is going to be an oil filter housing gasket. Quite a heavy fix. Quite a lot of parts need to come out, so be an interesting video to share. So if you want to watch that video, head over, subscribe, put your push notifications on, and hopefully I'll see you over there. And if you want to support me as a creator, this E46 build, and both channels in general, you can head over to Buy Me a Coffee. You can donate $1, $10, whatever you're comfortable with, and it'll help much towards making these videos. All the links for everything are down in the description below, so go ahead, click them, and I hope to see you in the new channel.